G'day Rugby League fans. Welcome along to the ACC's Mad Monday podcast. It is the 26th of June 2023. My name's Chris Key, aka Adam Whanua Keezy, joining me back on the podcast for the first time in a wee while. Tohu Henwood. Dai Henwood, how are you?
Oh, it feels good to be back. I feel I've been away for ages, but we just had that little bye week in there that chucked me out of proceedings. I've been doing a bit of chemo, but I'm feeling turgid.
You're feeling turgid?
Turgid today. Thinking about what can be and what has been from the mighty Wars.
And obviously we're going to get into the Wars shortly, but that Dragons-Warriors game, that would have massively helped with you with, bouncing back, right? Surely.
Oh, look, I needed a bit of adrenaline and I needed a bit of... I wanted a game that I could just enjoy.
Yeah.
That wasn't deeply stressful. And that game had it all.
Yeah, which is a rare thing for the Wars, although not the 2023 Wars as we're about to get into. Reminder, this podcast is brought to you by the beautiful folks at 4 and 20 Pies, available at all supermarkets, or if you're at Mount Smart, go and get one in each hand, a Traveller pie, and just double fist it. Yeah.
On the Traveller, this dawned on me while I was watching the Wars game. I've been doing them solo, because you know how they're rectangles, so you hold them to shovel them into your face?
Yeah. You can do two at once.
Yeah, but you strap it together with a bit of seaweed around the middle to make it a huge pie.
A double decker, holy cow.
Oh, look, I'm loving it.
Seaweed as well, so healthy, which is a good option.
A bit of naughty.
Also, this podcast comes to you live from the Export Beer Garden studio, of course, but let's get straight into the action. It was the Wars absolutely clobbering the Dragons. Can't remember the score. What was it? Warriors,
48 to
20?
18.
To 18. Here we go.
2 tackles left to work with, only 3 metres away. Here they come through Johnson.
Short ball.
The Johnson out. Short stick. Here comes Dallin. What's heading? Celestiak and the Warriors are on the board 5 minutes into the first half.
I don't remember that.
Hero for Queensland, Ben Hunt. Wants to be anywhere other than out on the field right now. He's asked for a release from the club.
Oh, he's in the departure lounge, all right.
Here comes Johnson. Johnson back door.
Oh,
Here they come now.
Skunky.
CNK over.
Yes,
Dallin.
boy.
Oh, shot out of the line. They tried to take Sean Johnson down. DWZ might have run him. Is he in here? He leaves it there. Dallin. What's in it? Celestiak scores again. Oh, my God. How good's thrashing teams?
Rugby's easy. 8 minutes to go. This is good eating.
Left they go. New quartet. Solid contact from about 3 different Dragons there. Grimaces on the faces of... well, just about all of the Dragons. Slow to his feet, though, is Murata. 10 minutes in the bin to start this half.
Oh,
back to Dallin with Dennis Electric. He's in again. 4 tries for Rick James. Bitch. Try time.
Great call there from Tino Fa'asua Manaiawi.
It wouldn't be a maniacal without him dropping a cussing.
That's right. People expect it now. People are texting through on 3236 saying, when's Manai's F-bomb coming? He was sober as a judge on Friday. I think he'd taken it to heart. Did the game, not one single... Oh, well, I guess the B word there counts.
My son saw one of those Musashi billboards, right? And there's the cartoon on the billboard.
Of Carlos Olberg, the ripped guy. With the,
and he asked if that was Manaia.
Did you say yes?
Yes.
That is Manaia, by the way, for anyone listening. Dai Henwood, it was a game that, leading into this, we circled this game and we said, look, the Dragons are in all sorts. They look terrible. Ben Hunt wants to leave. They've got rid of their head coach. We should go in there and absolutely kick their ass. However, the Warriors of old, we probably would have had a real close game and maybe even just lost it or something. This time, however, we went in there and we kicked some ass, which is good to see.
Look, how many times do I have to hear the Warriors of 2023 are different? Because I was still holding on to this old PTSD of like, right, we're up against the Dragons. In the past, we'd lose the games we should win, then we'd beat Melbourne or something.
That's right, yeah.
We were all topsy-turvy. We went into that game with good prep. We're winning away. We beat the Raiders at the Raiders' home.
That was the biggest one.
The Dragons at Wynn Stadium. And the Dragons are at bottom of the table, right? Lurking around the bottom of the table. But they beat Souths. They've had 4 sort of pretty good weeks coming into this since Anthony Griffin left, and they've been under their other coach. And we just stepped up. This was the first time, first time we've won 3 games in a row by more than 20 points since 2002.
Holy cow, over 2 decades. And
so it's been over 20 years since we've won 3 games in a row by more than 20 points. And this is what I like. We're putting teams to the sword. Big win against the Dolphins. Big win against the Raiders. Huge win against the Dragons. It's doing great for our points differential, which is going to be crucial. I reckon, we're on 22 points at the moment?
We're on 22, and the 3 teams above us, Storm, Broncos, Panthers, all on 24.
I reckon to guarantee the 8, we need 32 points. Maybe
5 more
34. Wins. 5 more, one of them's a bye. So we
sweet.
need 4 more wins.
So doable.
We're going into a big run here of games. If we can get a win, if we can get wins, we're in the upcoming games, we've got
Rabbitohs,
Cronulla.
Yes, Cronulla. I think we have a bye as well, do we? Pretty early on. We've got the Parramatta Eels in week 19. And
the Raiders again somewhere in there.
So yeah, it goes.
So we've got big teams.
It goes Rabbitohs this Friday, and then next after that we've got the Eels, who are in good form finally, and then after that we've got Cronulla. So that's 3 big teams.
So look, if we could get 2 wins out of that, which might come against,
I reckon Rabbitohs, Cronulla
and Rabbitohs.
Yeah, because the Eels are looking good.
Wow, that would be amazing. Okay, breaking this game down a bit. First of all, we should have had more points. There was a try that was disallowed, which was complete rubbish. Ravalawa ran into Jackson Ford, and they said Jackson Ford impeded him from...
Oh, that's right. He shot up out of the line. It was mayhem.
So I have watched that back a lot of times. Jackson Ford wasn't in the defensive line. He was in the attacking line.
Right.
So Ford was fine being there, and Pompey received the ball on the outside. So Ravalawa purposefully ran into him and then chucked his hands up straight away. So that should have been another try. Tyrell Sloan was very hard to handle.
In the first half.
When he scored that little jink through the line and scored, I was like, uh-oh. Then he had another good run, but then we shut him down okay in the second half. And this just got me thinking, the Warriors really need to man up on these freakish players, because what happens when you play a team like Melbourne or that who's got a Munster and so forth, and a Harry Grant, you've got to shut those players down, because he made easy work of that try. I'm a bit worried about Marata Niukore getting 4 weeks. He's shaping up to get 3 or 4 weeks on the sideline because of that hit. I thought there was head contact, but what was he going to do? I didn't think it was that malicious, but
I think his track record, right?
3 of them. He's had 3 this year.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess he's a tall bloke, Marata Niukore as well. So, and he went high on Suli, but, I mean, it wasn't an egregious one, you know what I mean?
But he's quite crucial to our pack. I mean, Fletch from Fletch and Hindy, not Fletch and Vaughan.
Fletch and Vaughan, I was going to say.
Welcome to the Matty John show with Fletch and Vaughan. He said last night that he reckons the Warriors have the best pack in the comp.
I'd agree with that.
And that's actually hard to disagree with, but Marata Niukore is crucial to that because he puts that big starch in there. How good was it having Walker back?
Oh, Dylan Walker, instant impact and we were talking about this during the commentary as well, Mania and I. When Walker was signed, he was held together by duct tape coming off the bench from Manly, and we weren't excited about it. And now, him coming back in round 16, we're about to get a whole lot of other players back, hopefully this round as well. It's just like, what the hell? Well, how did we get by without him? His impact off the bench is incredible.
It's huge. And how good was Jackson Ford stripping him for a try?
Oh, that was crazy. Yeah, but the thing I like about that is Jackson Ford gets up there, strips the ball off Dylan Walker, scores under the post. But the thing I like is there were 4 other Warriors there, either within range of catching it themselves or ready to defend. Our kick chasing has been phenomenal.
This is something I really wanted to talk about. When you hear a lot of people analysing games, they talk about jerseys in the picture, right? We'll get to state of origin later, but an example was on that breakaway by Stephen Crichton, who got pulled down by Daly Cherry Evans.
Right, yep.
There were 8 Maroons in the picture and 1 Blues supporting Stephen Crichton, who wasn't even in that frame. With this, when Johnson puts up his kicks, which fair play to him, he kicked amazingly in this game. There's 3 or 4 Warriors and 1 or 2 of the opposition.
That's right.
So we're hungry. We're fighting for it. And And that was an example, fighting for it so much that Jackson Ford stripped Walker to score. It just feels like the Warriors are flooding onto the ball and attack. There's always someone there. I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. C&K's running really interesting lines around dummy half. So you've got the ball coming out. Wigan gets to Tohu usually. Tohu can either go outside to Johnson or he can go inside to C&K, who's running a line. Then off Johnson, you've got Marata Niokore is running...
Short ball to Marata.
Yeah, he's either running a V on the outside or the inside. So it gives the defence so many things to focus on. Or you shift wide left to Metcalf, who... He had a good game, I thought. Metcalf was running well.
So Metcalf is... I mean, he's highly touted for his running game, right? And, I mean, he had a few touches where that... Harbour Bridge out to Marcelo, which he miraculously picked up. Like, he'll fix that, and that ball will be on. That'll be a try most days. But do you think he's doing enough to raise question marks around Tamaiti, who's returning soon? Because
I think, based on form, you've got to give it to Tamaiti.
Because when Tamaiti was involved, our backline was so slick, he just made everything better, as opposed to Metcalf, who is quite individual with his impact, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think Tamaiti is probably slightly better defensively.
Yeah, that's true.
But, so what this is a luxury, right? Tamaiti comes back. Webby could even go, hey man, do you want to have a week in New South Wales Cup?
Which he should. I mean, I saw him in a moon boot with a beard at Mount Smart when Manaia and I were there visiting our personal friends, Bunty Afo, Mitch Barnett and Marata Niukore. And I saw Tamaiti Martin, who's a good-looking man, and he was in a moon boot, he had a big beard, and I was like, that was like less than a month ago, you know what I mean? So I think he needs some time to... Maybe it was just the beard, I don't know.
Yeah,
You've got a beard too, by the way.
No,
Beards
but
look
no,
good.
he looks like he grows quite a thin beard though.
Oh, it's
quite
patchy.
A wispy, patchy beard.
Yeah, so it struck me. I was like, I double took because I didn't realise that was Tamaiti Martin. So with that image in my head, I'm like, actually,
Oh,
yeah.
because this is a bit of a league thing. You're not allowed to shave in recovery.
Oh, wow.
Well, so you look at a lot of dudes who are on the sideline. They're all growing out these big.
Is that the reason?
Yeah, I've I was listening to some interview where I was hearing that, but what I'm liking is the Warriors have always got either no coverage or a bit of grief from Aussie things for being, undercooked and like
That's right.
up and down. But we're just steadily delivering. The one thing I'd like us to see us work on is groundings. We seem to...
Oh, yes.
We seem to do some just really edgy groundings that don't need to be made that hard. Bailey's
one was a particularly bad
There
one.
was I think it was in the Roosters game, there was a great example of a forward scoring. He catches the ball, then falls down. That sort of try and grab it and bat it down.
All in one motion, no.
Really stresses me out. We had a couple of ones like that. But the tackling, man, this is the difference. Having Kai Kara France, the UFC guy in, you can visibly see how different we're tackling.
Really?
Two go in, they hold up till the defensive line sets, then collapse, then get up. It's completely legal, but they're slowing that ball down just that edge more. They always go in and instead of bringing him straight to the ground, stop, secure the ball, pull up a bit, pull up, then go down.
Wow.
And it's just immaculate technique, and I think a lot of that's coming from Kai Kara France. We seem to be fit as, man. We seem to... I've never said this about Warriors sides.
You could throw a blanket over the Warriors.
Yeah, I'll block a roach. Oh,
The Warriors.
The big men are struggling to get back behind the ball.
They're out on their feet here, the Warriors.
And that's before they've even kicked off. And what they're doing now is they just seem so fit. Look at what happens when we had Marata in the sin bin. It was a try apiece.
Well, that's the thing is scoring with a man in the bin is just something that never, ever would happen for the Warriors. Firstly, they'd obviously not have the fitness to plug that hole, but also they'd also get quite down about it.
Yeah.
Whereas now we just get our tails up and just continue. I forgot we had a guy in the bin.
And earlier in the year, particularly at the back of last year, we were clunky on attack. Check out some of those backline moves.
Yeah.
Check, like, I unfortunately watched the Union...
The final.
Yeah, the final.
Yeah, I watched that unfortunately as well.
And I was just like, the Warriors were running way slicker backline moves.
What?
They're doing double rounds, cut-out balls, running short runners. How on earth the Warriors made it an overlap when we had a dude in the sin bin was ridiculous.
That's a really good point. And, I mean, obviously, Dallin Watene-Zelezniak scoring 4 tries, the first bloke to do it for the Warriors in like 6 or 7 years or something, which is bloody exciting. Could have been 5-2. He offloaded to Rocco Berry for his try, didn't need to. He literally landed over the try line. But the thing that really impresses me is when it does go through the hands in the back line and they create that overlap, it's not just, Egan to Sean Johnson and Metcalf. It's like Tohu, Adam Whenua-Blake does a scucky no-look behind him to Sean. Like, every person that has their hands on that ball seems to have just, like, raised their skill level up a notch.
It's so good you mentioned AFB. His like, deft little passing in that before the ball stretches out, when it's just in those few quick passes.
That's right.
Because he demands so much defence.
Well, he's been a try-scoring machine, so yeah.
He always has 3 guys going on him, so if he attracts them, then flicks it on, then a couple of passes once it gets in the back line, we're just looking slick, we're playing slick. Cooper Cronk, only CC's is tasting like these. He made the point that a coach is a good coach when players in the side are having career best years.
Yeah,
and
Sean Johnson's one of them.
Sean Johnson,
Adam,
CNK,
yes.
Adam Whenua-Blake, Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, Dylan Walker technically.
Yes, yeah.
Everyone's playing out of their skin. He's not overplaying it. He was a bit... Webby looked a bit pissed off, actually, in the press conference.
Right.
He just thought they were getting a bit cute, trying to get a bit cute, which I like. It was like... He was happy about the win, obviously, but he was just honest.
Yeah. Well, one thing that sort of made me chuckle afterwards was I was scrolling through Instagram and Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, and I saw him mid-game too, like stretching and holding his lower back, and I do a lot of those same stretches because my lower back is rooted. And then I was like, oh, this isn't good. And then I watched the replay of the game this morning while having a coffee. Those two ridiculous tries. By the way, Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, one of the best finishers in the game now. Like, he's like Air Fussy Tua, but better.
Sometimes I feel he makes it harder.
He doesn't need to do that.
He doesn't. It's like... Because there were 2 of those, on one of them at least, he could have done an easy step inside and just fallen over.
Nah.
But it's like he tries to place it as close to that corner of the in goal and the sideline as possible.
Well, he's got it down to a fine art, though, because he places the ball just inside, down flat too, so he's nailed that. But he was like stretching his back and things, and he was like, oh man, maybe I'm just getting old or whatever. And I was like, oh, fair enough, Dallin, you've been playing footy for a long time. And then I watched the replay of those tries. He literally launches himself in the air and lands square on his tailbone every time.
Dude, so I was down the park with my son doing some rugby training.
Were you teaching him those corner dives?
I massively stepped my son and fended him.
Oh, into the shadow realm. Nice.
Hard out.
Yeah, sweet.
And then I thought I'd do a dive over, right? I did a very clunky dive, and it hurt so much. Just the ball hitting my chest. And
did you wind yourself a tiny bit?
Yeah. And then I'm going, how does this bro feel? Like, he's about 5-6 foot in the air at his peak.
That's right.
Then he comes down, and he lands, as you say, tailbone back.
Yes. And one of them, Tyrell Sloan, pushed him too, so he did like a double tumble. And so, of course, he's going to be friggin' sore, though. If you're going to be sore, it may as well be from scoring tries. When you scored your son and then you stepped them, fended him and then scored, did you still have enough gas to sort of get up and like Jerome Luai and, rub it in his face? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, well, then he scored 3 on me, so I took a photo of myself leaning against the post, going, sucked in. You chumps got work tomorrow. You got work
tomorrow. That's the way to do it.
Sucked in, you got school tomorrow. I'm just living large talking about rugby league.
Is there anything else you'd like to say about this game?
I just want to wrap this up with some stats from this DWZ. Basically, my stats are all around the triple letter crew. DWZ, 4 tries, topping the run metres with 227. CNK, 198 metres. AFB, 193 metres. We're delivering. What I like about these wins, it's never... he won the game for us.
No.
Sure, Sean Johnson's playing great, but it's not like, Sean Johnson's a miracle. he won the game for us. You know, it's like we're delivering across the park. We've got numbers on the bench. We've been impacted by injury. We've got through that. We're winning on the road. Bring on the Rabbits.
Yeah, and you know what? I think the Rabbitohs are definitely underdogs going into this game at Mount Smart this weekend. Now, that wraps up things for the Warriors. Once again, getting a massive win over the Dragons. Bloody good to see at home at the Gong as well. Moving on to the stonker of the round.
Bomber Club.
There it is. It was the Raiders getting a close win over the Roosters, 20 points to 18.
Last tackle, Fogarty, end on end, bomb, Tedesco. Oh, he's outlets! Lindsay Collins style! And Watt's gone over to score for Canberra. Tedesco's ready, it's batted back, Raiders will get there again! Tim McCall scores it! Air raid sirens going off everywhere. Working Manu's way, Kiri doesn't get it to Manu again. Now he does. Manu slides the line. Yes! Welcome back. Has placed it to come down a few minutes out from the line. Clean catch and try. Manu either side of half-time. Not only his 7th miss of the season. Bangs it over. 8 is the margin.
Yes, that is the stonk of the round. The Roosters putting on a second half comeback. The Raiders sort of looking a bit vintage Raiders, actually. Raiders from last year, I believe it were just incapable of scoring in the second half of action for some reason. But, Dai, you brought up a really good point there about the Warriors and about how we aren't relying on a Shawnee J miracle or anything like that to win games these days. The Roosters are in completely the opposite position where you've got the likes of Teddy, who's one of the greatest fullbacks in the history of the game, who's trying to do too much. It's very individual. Joey Manu, who had an amazing game, once again, very individual stuff, and it's actually detrimental because towards the end of that game, there was a time where Manu could have just passed the ball normally to his winger. He attracted the defence, went for the offload, that spilt out, no try there, and then the last play of the game, as they were lining up for a possible 2-point field goal, once again, a sort of scucky draw in his man offload that just went straight out. There's a whole lot of stars in this Roosters team that aren't playing team footy, they're playing individual footy, and it's really bad to watch.
Oh, completely agree with you. And Joey Manu weirdly almost won and lost that game for the Roosters. Yeah. Like, you're so right. He does this scucky little flicky try. He tries to get, as Webby would say, a bit too cute with it. He should have just drawed and passed.
That's right.
And he would have put them in the corner. However, he had a couple of moments of absolute brilliance. What's up with Teddy? Granted, Fogarty was kicking insanely well.
He did the best spiral bomb I've seen all season.
So high, and then they just wobble, and then come down. Do you notice those spiral bombs come down so fast?
Faster than the average?
Yeah,
actually, it's a good point.
They don't float on an arc.
Yeah.
They go up. Then because they're spiraling, they then just drill down. Teddy's looking lost,
He
to be
looks
honest.
really lost. And because at the beginning of the season and with New South Wales too, I was like, it's Teddy. He's been literally one of the greatest fullbacks the past decade. Like, he's so consistent. This year, for the first time, it's just not coming back.
No, you mentioned something there which I think's been mentioned about him in Origin as well. He is trying.
He's trying too hard,
and sometimes he's trying too hard. He gets himself in the way in the attacking line. I don't know what the answer is for the Roosters because they feel like a team that's actually not too far off nailing it.
Well, they did. They turned this around last season, didn't they? And the end of the season was amazing for the Roosters. But I just don't see it happening this year. It's so clunky.
Jared Croker played well. Also, seeing Teddy, it's happened to him twice now. Lindsay Collins getting above him.
Oh, my God, yes.
And then Jack Whiten did the exact same thing in this game. The Raiders... to be honest, I went to bed at halftime and then watched the second half in the morning because I was like, I'll get an early night. The Roosters are going to get pumped here.
My favourite thing to do, by the way, wake up and watch some recorded footy with a coffee. It's my favourite.
And then I was like, oh my God, the Raiders just fell apart and that couldn't put the two halves together. Croker had a great game.
Oh, how was that try that Albert Hopoate ended up scoring? That was all Croker.
All Croker and a massive forward pass.
Yes, it was. But it was so scucky that it was like, and it was Croker too. It was like 1,000.
Shane Flanagan in commentary sounded like a dude on acid at a university party trying to explain particle physics to me or something. It's just, to me, it goes backwards out of the hand forwards.
And I'm fine with that.
But I'm fine with it. When it goes backwards and forwards at the same time, I'm fine with that. And it was forward, but the Raiders, I think, deserved that win. A huge loss for them that actually probably impacted that game a lot was Papali'i.
His hammy,
in the first 10 minutes, he did his hammy. So he's out 4 to 5 weeks there.
But with the Raiders, just quickly, the good thing about how they're set up now is Corey Horsburgh and Joey Tapine will do it for him. You know, they don't need Big Papa. They don't rely on him.
Corey Horsburgh is having a breakout year. Tapine, you just know exactly what you're getting. Tomoko, they've got a great side. A great side. So I've got to say, I think it almost was a bit of a turning point for the Roosters, though. I think they'll start to get a few more wins. Hopefully they knock off a few of the top teams because they're still far enough down in the table not to hurt us at the moment.
Yeah.
Because the Warriors because with such a logjam, it'd still be nice to have a few favourable games for us to just keep us bouncing around that top 4.
Definitely. Do you think with the Roosters, like, one thing that they've definitely had is so many changes in their spine in terms of, like, Carey will be injured and Sam Walker dropped and then Sandon Smith comes in, looks good. But they've just had so many interruptions as well in their hooker position as well with Brandon Smith at the start in and then out. And I just feel like it's been impossible for them to establish a groove because they're chopping and changing things so
completely
much.
Agree. They've been hit by injuries and hit by the very rare bad decision from Trent Robinson, their coach, who decided to drop Sam Walker, and you sort of can actually tie their losing form back to that moment. And then he got injured in New South Wales Cup. He can't come back. They shifted Manu to the halves, which sort of worked, sort of didn't. I actually, weirdly, like Manu at fullback. There was talk of, like, there was a team, I forget what team it was, but in the early 2000s who played 2 fullbacks.
At all times.
Yeah.
So and was one of them a centre.
Yeah, who just dropped back and played 2 fullbacks on both sides of the field.
Well, didn't the Cowboys last year sort of run Drinkwater, obviously, and then Holmes had a free licence to just roam around and sort of do the same thing?
Trent Robinson said that Manu had a free licence, but he didn't show up in that first half anywhere. Right. He got some pretty average touches. So
maybe he's like Jason Hoyt and still has his restricted licence. You know what I mean?
He potentially.
Yeah.
So he can't play after 10.
Exactly. The issue, and he needs a fully licensed driver with him at all times. But the issue with going all in on Manu, I think, is that he's not a link player at all. Once the ball gets to his hand, he is going to dummy and then he's going to run. And then the only way he likes passing is with an offload. Yeah. So you're going all in on just one guy's ability to break the line.
And also, you see it on a day when those weird little offloads aren't working. I'm old school. I really don't like this one-handed ball. Yeah. Holding the ball in one hand. Granted, sometimes you need it, but as Manu showed, they could have won that game if he just played a bit more settled footy.
That's right. We'll take a quick break here on the Mad Monday podcast. When we return, though, a bit of a State of Origin debrief, which was an absolute shambles. I actually deleted it from my brain, so can't wait to.
Well, I need to take a piss out of my Reece Walsh. So.
Yeah, good point. We'll also go over a couple more key points from the round as well, including the Broncos losing and a few other things like that. So do stick. Oh, and of course, Dai Henwood off the back fence. Yes. So stick around.
Not guilty, Your Honour.
Yeah, what are you getting the ref's room number, mate?
Welcome back to the Export Beer Garden studio for the Mad Monday podcast with Keezy and Dai Henwood, a.k.a. Adam Whenua Keezy and Tohu Henwood. Also, big shout out to 4 and 20 Traveller Pies. Dai, a couple of quick key points from the latest round of footy before we get into State of Origin chat. Firstly, a couple of big upsets in terms of the ladder, etc. The Broncos going down to the Titans in a weird afternoon game. The Broncos had quite a lot of sort of tries disallowed and things. However, I thought for the first time in a long time, the Titans kind of looked okay and also played a full 80 of okay footy.
Yeah, what a week for Justin Holbrook to get kicked out.
Classic.
Two massive wins by the Titans. Well, not massive wins, but 2 good wins. You're right, they played 80 minutes. Wow. If you haven't watched it, go and watch Kevin Walder's press conference after that.
I haven't seen it.
Massive disappointment, Dad.
Oh, so, didn't they ask him about Ben Hunt?
No, he just went, well, to be honest, the team I watched out there, I didn't like any of my players today. Wow. I just didn't like the way they played. I'm pretty angry at everyone. He's like he was holding his tongue and he was just paying out on the Broncos.
He looks like a dude too that when you see him, like he looks like a dude who could get very angry.
Yeah, who's the real fun, who looks like he's a fun, jovial guy, but then massively snaps.
Yeah, I hope he gets really angry at Reece Walsh. I mean, there was a bit of stuff around him in the communication with the ref. Did you see that video? Although, I don't know, as that Reece is starting to become a bit of a pain in the ass for a lot of people, but I think it was Adam Reynolds commented on the post saying, actually, no, he was saying that to one of the other opposition players. I was like, it's still a bit of a dick move.
Yeah, I'm getting heavy Kane Evans vibes off him, actually. He's just... Look, I know it's easy to jump on a bit of Reece Walsh hate because he left the Warriors, but I think we all agree he wasn't the player we need. We don't need a single superstar. We need Chance Nickel-Klukstad. I don't like the way... Reece just smacks a bit of a dude who's believing his own hype. However, give him the benefit of the doubt. The bro's like a young dude who's smashing State of Origin, smashing the NRL.
Smashing his looks. Hot dude.
Is he that hot?
Well, I'll play you back audio from every episode of Mad Monday last year when he was on the Warriors.
He is pretty hot. He is pretty hot, but that's going to fade, and when it does, what are you left with, eh?
Exactly.
What are you left with? You're just alone in the shower with Selwyn Cobbo. Which wouldn't be a bad place to be honest. I love-hate this Broncos team because I've never liked the Broncos. I've never liked any Queensland teams. Got a little soft spot for the Cocaine Cowboys. But you look at that Broncos side, there's so many players to like. I like how Jordan Ricky plays. I like Selwyn Cobbo. I like Ezra Mam. I also like some white players, but I can't name any of them. Pat Kerrigan.
Adam Reynolds.
Yeah, Adam Reynolds. They're a pretty complete football side.
That's right. And I like the fact that they've got these guys like Payne Haas and Kerrigan who lead with just their sheer workload. And then they've got some older guys like Corey Oates and Adam Reynolds and stuff. They seem to have everything just in the right spots. And then talented youngsters coming.
Yeah, and then Kevy Walters has so little faith in his son.
And such little gap between his eyes.
Yeah, but he's got no faith in his son
Billy.
at hooker.
Yeah.
So he's getting Ben Hunt in.
Do you reckon Hunt would go straight to hooker? Because you can't break up Mam and Reynolds, right?
Hunt is playing. If Hunt goes to the Broncos on this $300,000 deal
which is
for the rest of the year.
It's a dog move, by the way.
It's a dog move that could ruin the Broncos. And if he does, I hope that they do what happened last year, where they were in the top 4, then they didn't even make the 8.
Oh, wow.
With 10 rounds to go because they lost 10 on the trot.
Shit, I forgot about that. What a shameful
They
finish.
absolutely fell off the cliff. However, they've got 3 buys in hand. They haven't had a bye yet.
Wow.
So the Broncos have a guaranteed 6 points. So they're definitely in the top 4. But, yeah, I think it's a dog move if Ben Hunt goes there. I thought it was really nice for the Titans to get a win. And weirdly, how weird will it be if they just keep trucking along and finish 8th and they ditch their coach?
Well, I mean,
making the finals.
It'd be a classic Titans thing to do, and if that does happen, obviously Ben Hurley won't be in because he'd be partying so hard at the amount of wins the Titans are getting. But
oh, dude, the guys, he's already got from container door a container load of Titan C rings. I don't know why the container door website is bringing in that many penis rings.
And apparently they're not for distribution either. He just wants them all.
No, he just said, look, if you could source a container out of Bangladesh, I'm in.
So shout out to the Titans and a few players playing mean as well. You know, your big Dave Fafita backing up and playing one hell of a game. Also, the other upset of the week was the Cowboys absolutely pantsing the Rabbitohs, 31 points to 6. The Cows sort of started, I think it was 5-0 at halftime, random score. Scott Drinkwater just slotted a droppy just before halftime to finish the first half of action there. But as we were discussing before coming on the potty here, Dai, Cody Walker, who's just come back from injury, obviously no Latrell Mitt at the moment, and he's come back from injury. He got angry very early and then proceeded to stuff up every single pass that would usually go straight to Alex Johnson's hands, and it was probably 4 or 5 try-scoring opportunities where it was just clunky, and the fault actually laid with Cody Walker.
I think he's going to be on the tip sheet for this game against the Warriors because when you rattle him early, which is one of the reasons why I worry about him playing Origin, if they did select him, because they just target that. when he gets rattled early, he does that. He tries to go in for big hits. He can't shift the ball very well. He wasn't injecting himself in the game. Souths were everyone's pick, it seemed, to win the comp, but they're off the boil at the moment, and it all stems from Trell Mitt being out. Burgess came on. They need him back in the side. He was a bit clunky. He got so many passes were dropped from South in this game. Blake Taff had an up and down game. Johnson does okay. Keon Kolomatangi is always delivering.
He is such a good ball runner with the ball in hand, and he runs great lines as well.
He's got very Murata Niokore vibes about him as well. He runs hard and he runs really good lines. The Cowboys were good in this. Scott Drinkwater just makes something happen.
Because do you remember like 2 years ago when he was sort of floating around the halves, in and out of the side, playing in the halves, and just I didn't understand what the big deal was. And then for them to shift Val to centre so that they could put Scott at fullback, I was like, are you mad? He is legitimately right now, and I never thought I'd say this at the beginning of the season. I'd say, either Pappenhausen will be back or Tommy Turbo or Tedesco. He is the best fullback in the competition right now, him and Gutho. And it's his ability to inject himself. He just gets through tackles as well, and he runs he does off everything he's doing right now. It seems to be turning to gold. And I think the Cows are on like a really hot streak all the way home in this. They're going to be dangerous.
My smoky is the Cows to make the 8.
Yeah,
I love the Cows. And who knows? I hope if the Warriors aren't in the grand final, I hope that Ben Hunt goes to Brisbane. And it's a Cowboys-Broncos grand final, if the Warriors can't get there. Then there's a kickoff, and Ben Hunt drops it and loses the game to the Cowboys.
You'd put that evil on him. Holy cow.
I would love that. Me and Hurley were fizzing our pants off in the stadium in 2015 watching that, cheering the Cows home.
Jeez.
But, yep, I wouldn't worry too much about the Rabbits. It'll be interesting to see. Normally, I'd worry as a Warriors fan that they were coming off a decent loss, but they look out of shape.
They do
at the moment.
And the other thing is going to go in our favour too is you got the likes of Cam Murray, who's so important to the along with Trell, obviously, and Cody, but he looks absolutely knackered at the moment. He's always off for head knocks and things. He's just not quite himself. And
I felt a bit for him, man. Jake Granville fully came in legs first on his head, not intentionally, but
that's right, because he dove on a loose ball.
He dove on the ball, then he wasn't getting up, and then Granville came in legs first on his head, which I still can't figure out in league. There's no contact with the head except when it's accidental.
So
I don't really understand that, but I wouldn't worry too much if you're a Souths fan. I think they'll definitely be there or thereabouts at the end of the season. And good luck to the Cows.
Yeah, good luck to the Cows. Enjoy watching them at the moment, which is good. Time now to have a quick chat about Origin Game 2. I know it was almost a week ago. Dai Henwood, it's actually something I've deleted from my brain as a New South Wales supporter. Actually, with 20 minutes left in the commentary, we were even sort of looking into whether or not a New South Wales supporter who's literally only been to New South Wales once for 24 hours, whether they can, in fact, transition into Queensland.
Look, I wanted to bring this up because I was a bit hurt hearing that sort of rubbish. For the people that weren't tuned in,
it was hypothetical.
We've got Adam to clip this.
Is there some sort of situation where I could switch allegiances and no one would make a big deal out of it?
What is the initiation process for a player, for a person who wants to transition?
Oh, God.
Messy stuff now there from Brian Talk.
Oh, it's disgusting.
Get in touch, 3236. Chris wants to transition from a New South Welshman
No, it's a hypothetical situation.
into a Queenslander.
It's an interesting point of discussion I'm trying to bring up.
What is the process for transitioning?
Can you even pull that off? Or am I destined to watch Daly Cherry Evans beat me? He's going to be 50. He'll have no hair on his head. Go, Payne Haas!
Now, look. Talking about pulling it off, definitely don't do that. Get it surgically removed.
Right.
My worry is here, Keezy. This is a slippery slope, mate. I've had a few arguments with my wife. You know, maybe I should transition into another relationship.
That's not what's happening. It was, as I said in the commentary, it was an interesting point of discussion, right?
It was a traitorous point of discussion.
Look, never judge someone on them at their lowest moment. And that was the lowest moment of my State of Origin watching career. Seriously. Like, when Queensland went 8-0, I was a young fella just sort of starting to get into league, so I wasn't too fussed by it.
Oh, look, no, you just saw a bit of Musashi muscled poontang and Mania wearing his bloody Queensland jumper, and you thought, I want a bit of that.
Well, he had his Queensland shirt on, a big shit-eating grin on his face, and I was just like, I want that, you know?
Look, I can mock you all I like about that, but I have thought the same thing. However, I've been deep New South Wales. I've been deep since about 91.
Well, that's pretty friggin' deep.
I've been deep. And it pisses me off that New South Wales they weren't the favourites in this game. They've always been favourites. How many in the last 10 years, they've lost like 8 series?
I know.
It's embarrassing. It's ridiculous. No one in the Aussie media seems to talk about the fact that Freddie Fittler is the wrong person to coach this side. The interchanges was absolutely...
Cam Murray, right? And obviously Cook. Cam Murray not coming on until the second half.
Oitukamanu.
For the Tigers.
Right?
Yeah.
He played 14 minutes. So you either hire someone, you go, you're in the team, you're going to play a role. He played 14 minutes. They brought Cook on at centre. Cam Murray has played centre. Look at what happened. And people are like, oh, Cook was playing centre. Well, get this. In game 1, Ben Hunt played centre for Queensland because they lost so many players, and they still won in the last 10 minutes.
Yes.
So it comes down to the coaching. The interchanges have been absolutely stuffed. He doesn't seem to know what he's doing on the interchanges.
Just on the interchange, just quickly. I mean, if you've got Stefano Utoikamanu, which I think is even a questionable decision anyway, you've got the likes of Payne Haas who can go big minutes, so I assume that's why he played so little. If that is the case, why have a 14-minute prop on the bench when you could bring in Matt Burton, who can cover literally every position in the back line?
Exactly, and then you cycle your edges into the middle.
Exactly.
And then bring the middles out to the edges. Utoikamanu, right? He has won 4 games in his career. So it's not like he knows a winning way. The poor dude has won 4 first-class games.
Well, he does play for the Tigers, but holy cow.
Granted, he plays for the Tigers. But what an out-of-the-box suggestion. You're telling me you're going to go him over Keon Kolomatangi?
True, I mean...
Like, I just don't understand the selections. Granted, there's got to be some moves. They've got to be a bit more nimble. Queensland were nimble. Dane Gagai, see you later, buddy.
Which is because he's in shit-hot form too.
Kalen Ponga back in the toilets. Have a rail and whack off your mate. You know, we've got Reece Walsh going on. Like, this is the issue. They need to be more nimble. What do you do now? Because obviously, I mean, Freddie, they're saying, is going to go, but who's going to replace him?
Well, I mean, a few names have been thrown forward, including the man who looks like he's been stung by 1,000 bees, Gus Gould. I haven't really liked the opinion of anyone so far, of the coaches they put forward. I mean, you put someone forward who's probably the closest one in our group chat, Mick Ennis.
Yeah.
I think he's probably the closest one you're going to get.
So the thing is, if you got someone like Mick Ennis, he'd be a hard-out, passionate guy, you'd need good people around him. So when Freddie was winning, his assistant coach was Craig Fitzgibbon.
Right.
So Craig Fitzgibbon left, and he was the Roosters' assistant at the time.
Yeah.
When Craig Fitzgibbon left, that seemed to be when things started to fall apart. People say Joey Johns is in there. He's not. He goes in for a day a week to do some coaching. Do you get an interim coach, or do you let Freddie do one more year and then bring Bellamy in when he leaves Melbourne?
Well, because he's agreed to one more year for Melbourne, right? That'll be his 21st season,
and he has said he won't coach club and
yes, you
Origin.
Do that. Yes, you do that. You bring the Melbourne Storm coacher. That is exactly what you do.
Because how good's that for a storyline? You've got Craig Bellamy against Billy Slater, Jonathan Thurston, and Cam Smith.
Oh my God, that is brilliant.
So you've got a great storyline there. The other one they're talking about is Ricky Stewart while he's still coaching the Raiders.
The Raiders, who, by the way, are not exactly lighting the world on fire at the moment.
No, so...
It has to be a full-time. Like, Ricky Stewart would have to leave the Raiders. You can't do both. There's no way in hell anyone can do both.
My thing is, I agree that New South Wales players don't get Origin. What there was an interesting chat Girdler was saying is how Jerome Luai is just such a punisher with his boombox on the bus, right? That he would have been kicked off the bus back in the day. Is that what they are is they're a team of individuals.
Yes.
Right? You've got Cleary's an individual, Luai's an individual. You've got these individual players. They need to be a team. Queensland beat New South Wales when they were apparently the worst Origin side ever because they work as a team. Luai is an individual.
And a massive punisher.
Yeah, like having a dude just playing hard-out tunes on the bus on one of those enormous speakers, I would find really punishing.
Yeah.
Just put some headphones on, bro.
Yeah,
Dudes want to play cards.
Yeah. And I mean, that is a really good point because there is literally something missing there, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Game 3, especially around the halves now, right? Because, I mean, I thought Moses was pretty decent, I thought. He was trying things, and he's a team player, I think, Mitch Moses. I think he can be.
I think, and to be honest, Jerome Luai didn't do that much wrong, but he also just...
I think he's detrimental to the team. I think
he's
you're right.
Detrimental to the culture.
Yeah.
He does a bit like what Teddy does. It frustrates me where he's moving a lot but not going anywhere.
Yeah.
A lot of dancing and sidestepping, sort of old school Walter Little styles.
What do you do here, though? Because obviously there's a lot of calls for... I don't think Cody Walker's going to be put in because he's come back from injury. He's had a bit of a shocker, I think, and it's good if you got him in Supercoach. I don't think he's going to be elevated to Origin 3. I don't think you can bring Cody Walker in and put the pressure on his shoulders, his easily flustered shoulders, and say, come and save New South Wales. I think Moses will maybe stay in there. Who do you go for? I still think you need to bring someone like Adam Reynolds in. You just need to bring in
to be honest, he's been in the camp for 2 years. I would go Hines and Moses.
Hines at 5'8".
You've had him in camp for 2 years. Give him a whole game in a position he plays.
5'8" or half?
I reckon he could play 5'8".
And that's the...
And then you've got Mitchell who can kick.
That's the thing with that pairing is that at halfback, you want someone like Mitch Moses who passes and kicks and controls the game well. And the way Hines plays is you have to kind of allow him to roam wherever he wants to do, which you can't do at halfback unless your team's set up for it like the Sharks. But at 5'8", he could definitely do that.
And also, I mean, when I was watching Penrith play,
not guilty, Your Honour.
Yeah, what are you getting the ref's room number, mate? Which, by the way, did you see the beginning of the
I didn't watch
Melbourne press conference?
Oh, no. What happened?
Christian Welsh comes in and sits down next to Craig Bellamy, and he's on the mic, and he goes, oh, mate, did you see Penrith? How did the Knights beat Penrith, bro? Penrith had nobody.
They didn't, though. They lost.
No, and then Bellamy goes, yeah, shambles. It's just like, it's just whispering on the mic, and then that's been going around getting a bit viral on it.
I mean, they got a point, shit.
Yeah. And but watching that game, I was like, oh, Dylan Edwards is such a State of Origin player. He makes every tackle.
Is he New South Wales?
Yeah, he's New South Wales. He makes every run count.
Him, you know, and sorry, this podcast is going long, by the way, because we're getting down in the weeds right now, and I'm enjoying it. But Gutho's been in and around the camp. He is exactly the same kind of player. He is like defence first. He's always in the right spots. He's not flashy, but he is the exact kind of team player.
You want it? They've got a hard on for the Penrith combos. You go Mitchell and Gutho. Gutho, then replace Travojevic with Dylan Edwards in the centres because they've said they'll play fullbacks.
Well, what about Campbell Graham, though?
Campbell Graham replace, because you've still got Stephen Crichton. It's hard to know what to do because Latrell's out for the whole till round 21.
That's right.
I don't quite know the answer. It's going to be really intriguing to see what team gets picked, but I reckon Queensland could go clean sweep here because
big time.
Look, Ryan Girdler was saying something interesting as well. He said, look at the anthems, right? The Queenslanders and the anthem are like bound, holding each other, right? The New South Wales guys are just standing there.
Luai doesn't have his hands around anyone. He's just holding a Yui boom.
No, but that's the thing is they were going, if you were the young guy like Utoi Kamano, he didn't have anyone pulling him in.
Yeah.
And then Gordon Tallis was saying when he played and it was like Shane Webke and Meninga grabbing you, you were like, right, it's us.
Yeah.
We're playing it. But yeah, Luai, Also, what did you call him?
Luai.
There's no apostrophe though.
No, I know, but they only put apostrophes in sometimes. Apparently, I was taught this. So apparently, and this is by the Black Ferns player, not Black Ferns, sorry, Kiwi Ferns, Vahakolo.
Yeah.
She's got two A's in her name next to each other, and then apparently they put the apostrophe in there so that Europeans could read it properly.
But he's only got one eye though.
Yeah, I know, but sometimes they have vowels together which randomly have that apostrophe sound or not. Actually, we've got the phonetic guide by your mate who messaged me on
It's Luai.
Is it definitely Luai?
Yeah, and Jerome Luai says Luai.
Does he?
Yeah, because you're freaking me out as I get so nervous about.
Yeah,
my
I get nervous about that too.
pronunciation.
Yeah. Well, look, I'll look into it.
Based on, look, there's too much confusion around his pronunciation. He shouldn't be in the team.
Drop his ass.
There's too much confusion.
You know what's easy to pronounce? Hines. And hope, oh my God, I just hope New South Wales shows some sort of bounce back for Game 3. Because I was in the pits of my rugby league supported him.
Oh, I actually had this glimmer of hope that they'd do it.
Going into it, sure.
And then easy tries. Every time Queensland get down there, they scored. The New South Wales side looked like the Warriors at the end of last year, where they got down there and then
nothing doing.
They had 6 guys, but they didn't know who to pass to, and
That's
then
right.
they just got trapped and
Clunky.
God,
it was clunky, and I said that word a lot on Wednesday.
Positives, and also I love you.
Sorry, I can't help it.
And Reece Robson, I thought, played well.
Yeah, he's exactly the kind of guy you need in there.
Also, shout out to Damien Cook, man. You can't hang that on him. The dude's never played centre. I like it. Well, he played centre in under 12s, so he's got some...
Was that 15 years ago? Longer? Oh, yeah, shout out to Damien Cook. Hopefully, I mean, his State of Origin career is not over, right? Surely he's still in...
No, well, he's like to be honest, they should have started Damien Cook to take the heat out of the game, then brought Reece Robson on.
I see what they were doing, though, right? Because Reece Robson's not that attacking flair hooker. He's a solid defender.
Yeah, who just soaks it up.
Right, and then they'd inject Damien Cook. So.
I think it's come down to the fact we can agree that New South Wales seem to not know what they're doing.
Yeah, 100%.
They don't know what they're doing from the coach down, so it's like, yeah, because that's the thing. A few pundits were saying that Origin football's not about actually coaching. These dudes know how to play rugby league. It's about creating the team thing. It's about creating the mana of
the sense
the
of
people you're
importance.
representing.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, is they reckon Luai is representing himself.
Definitely.
He's not representing the farmers or the dudes up country and that who really connect to the jersey.
You know who does? And that's Nico Hines.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that far out, man. I hope you weren't expecting funny rugby league analysis today, because this is just genuine stuff.
But don't transition. Stick with us, because look,
I'm not going to. It was just a bit of funny chat.
When it comes back, and old Mania, the muscle-bound Musashi man, is just popping out of, he's just had one too many roid, and he's just popping off his head. New South Wales are going to be back, baby.
Well, that's the good thing. It's like when they do win, it's going to be twice as exciting. All right, that wraps up State of Origin chat. We've got 2 more things left to go. First of all, we'll do the TAB Good Punt.
And we're doing pretty well, aren't we?
We certainly are. The Warriors this weekend, this Friday, I should say, at Go Media Stadium, the Fruit Bowl that is Mount Smart. They are taking on the Rabbitohs. The Rabbitohs are a team that were touted as being a possible premiership favourite this year. They, however, are massively struggling. You've got Trell Mitt out. You've got Cody Walker fired up, making basic errors. You've got Cam Murray, doesn't know which way he's going. For that reason, and for the reason that the Warriors have won their last 3 games and looked bloody amazing doing it, Warriors 13+ against Souths. What do you reckon? $100 bonus bet thanks to the TAB.
I'm daring to dream on that.
Yeah, right?
Warriors 13+.
How good? Against the Bunnies. That would usually be a Hail Mary, but I think it's accurate.
Yeah, my son's a big Bunnies man. I'm not on comms this week because I'm taking my son out to the game so he can watch South play. He's wearing a Warriors jersey, though.
Oh, good on you, Charlie.
He's back on the boys. Charlie's back on the boys. I love that bet. That's a good TAB, good punt, and let's get those coffers full, eh?
Let's do it, because they were bloody full last weekend. We put Warriors 13+ and also Shawnee J to score a try. Both happened, and then the Mad Monday punt, which I think was just 13+. Overall, we brought in $900.
Oosh.
Oosh, indeed.
Stefano Oosh Toy Kamano.
Exactly. So things are looking bloody good if you stick with the Mad Monday crew at the moment. But before we go, one last thing. It is, of course, time for Dai Henwood to come off the back fence.
Oh, a long kickoff. The offload to Henwood, and he's off the back fence. Boom time.
Get your nose out of my honey jar, Ian Foster. Get your nose out of my honey jar. Get your hands out of my fruit bowl. This is regarding the All Blacks stepping on the toes of the mighty One New Zealand Warriors. We're going into the Raiders game. Who's playing the night before the Raiders game at Mount Smart Stadium? The All Blacks. Why are the All Blacks playing at Mount Smart Stadium? They're playing there because of the FIFA World Cup is happening at Eden Park. Because FIFA have taken over. Well, sucks to be you, All Blacks. Go and play a Colin Maiden, mate. Go up the road to Gribblehurst. Go to the Domain. Find somewhere else to play. Don't come out to the mighty Fruit Bowl, Go Media, Mount Smart Stadium, where the mana drips from the rooftop, where the Rugby League Taniwha guard the wonderful One New Zealand Warriors. Don't come out and put your nose into our honey jar. You're putting up 6,000 extra seats. Okay, we'll take those, because guess what? We average 21,000 a game. You suck on that. How many were at the Super Rugby final, right? How many? There were more people in the countdown, 10 items or less checkout, than there were at the Super Rugby 15 final, or whatever you want to call it. So don't come to our stadium. And also, you're putting up your 6,000 seats right on our D, right? We've got our D, your little D right at the end, under the site, under the big screen, and that D is where they set up the home base, where you get the kai for the kids, where you got events for the kids, where you can watch the game, you can get a drink, you can get involved in the wonderful atmosphere that is Mount Smart Stadium. But we'll take your 6,000 seats, but we're not happy about it, because we're going to have to spray the boring off the pitch that you left there the night before, when you got all bored against the boring South Africans, getting all boring on your boring rugby union. You can piss off, and you can let Rugby League own Mount Smart.
I think that might be the best ever Dai Henwood off the back fence.
I really got worked up.
That was excellent. I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. That's fantastic. Well, look, that wraps things up, thankfully, because Dai is out of gas for Mad Monday. We'll be back again tomorrow with a Supercoach preview. Back on Friday with the Warriors taking on the Rabbitohs. Do join us for that commentary, and we'll see you next time.
Australia without rugby league. And Australia without rugby league is not Australia.